Hi guys! Oh my god, it is Thursday, which means it's my favorite day of the week, but it is also the biggest freaking event we have ever had at EverBee, and I am so stinking stoked to have you guys all here for it. We already have like 20 plus people in the chat, all screaming the love for my girl Heather from Heather Studio. If you guys are all from Team Niche and you're not in the EverBee Team Niche, we say it a little bit differently over here. If you are Team Niche, please, please, please support me. NICNITCH, however you want to spell it. Give us some love in the comments. I am super, super excited to be here with four of my favorite gals in the print on demand and Etsy and YouTube and online e-commerce space. So thank you guys so, so much for being here with us today. One little thing I want to get out of the way that is really, really important for you guys before we jump in is we actually have a pretty big deal happening right now. So if you guys didn't get the chance to grab the Black Friday deal that we had with EverBee, I want to say around 2 weeks ago, week and a half or so ago, I am opening the doors again to be able to give you access to our holiday event. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen really quickly before we bring on the girls that you came here for. I know you don't want to listen to me talk. I'm aware. Okay, we're going to get there, but I do need to show you this before we dive in. I'm going to go ahead and add this to the stage to let you guys know. I told you last week that if you joined this live with me, you would have access to a special exclusive deal. And I am showing it to you right now. So make sure you pay attention, and then we will get the girls right on with us. Okay, so for this weekend only, today through Tuesday, you guys can get access to EverBee Research for an entire year for only $160. It is usually $360, so you're going to be saving $200 to have EverBee for the entire next year. But that's not all. I am also going to give you guys access to EverBee's signature course, the Etsy Growth Academy, which is a value of almost $1,000 in itself. You guys are going to get free, unlimited access to that to be able to grow your Etsy shop in 2025. I'm also going to give you an Etsy listing checklist. I'm also going to give you 100 plus niche, okay? Team Niche. I'm also going to give you 100 plus niche ideas. I'm also going to give you an Etsy marketing calendar for 2025, plus 500 validated Etsy digital product ideas. So if you were on the event last week, our Coffee with EverBee last week, a lot of you guys were wondering, how do you get in the digital product space? Well, we're going to show you, and we're going to give you 500 plus different options that you can jump into, plus over 100 different niches to jump into. But again, I am not done. We have one last thing. The people that you guys came here for today, the people that you are very, very excited to learn from, the people you have probably been learning about or learning from for years, myself included. I told Cassiy and Heather and Jenny, I used to walk on the treadmill before I started my business watching them. So you guys might be in that exact same place. They're also going to be giving you specific bonuses and discounts and freebies from their own internal products. So if you want to learn directly from them off of this live today, you're going to want to join this group. So like I said, this is an EverBee holiday special. It is going live literally right now. So don't hop off of this. Please watch the rest of this live. But once this is done, you can head to the description of this video, click the link, and go ahead and qualify for this offer. So with that said, we've already got so many different people that are currently in the comments right now. I am so, so glad that you guys are all here. We are going to be inviting 4 really, really awesome YouTubers, Etsy sellers, AI builders onto this channel right now, and I'm super stoked. So the first person we are going to have us join as Passive Income Angel. We have Cassiy Johnson, Heather from Heather Studio, and Jenny from the Shopp. Angel is our AI girl. She is very focused on numbers and data and helping you guys utilize AI to make insane amounts of money online. Then we have Miss Cassiy Johnson, who, in my opinion, is the queen of scalable designs, but she is not only that, she's also a YouTuber with over 200,000 subscribers. She is a multi-6-figure Etsy and print-on-demand seller, and she also, as if she could do any more to impressed me. She is also the new founder of a mock-up automation program, product, company, brand, whatever you want to call it, called Simply Listed. So please go check that out if you haven't already. We also have Jenny from the Shopp. She obviously, if you guys have seen her face in a couple of different places, she is actually the social media manager for EverBee. So we're super, super blessed to have her as part of the team. But she is also building her own business. She is a YouTuber, a print-on-demand seller, and she actually quit her job as a teacher and moved to Greece because she was able to chase her dreams, which that's kind of mine too. So I'll see you over there one day soon, hopefully. Last but not least, we have Heather from Heather Studio, who is a dog mom. And of course, as everyone in the comments know, niche expert. I'm going to learn how to say that word from Heather. So thank you guys so much for being here, all of you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. So excited to be here. Happy holidays, everyone.
Woo, happy holidays. All right, so I have a couple of things, of course, that I want to go over today with these gals. But I do want to leave a couple of minutes at the end. I'm trying to save 15 to 20 minutes for you guys. So as the gals are answering my questions and they're giving you as much feedback and value for 2025 as possible today, I'm going to be spending some time highlighting some questions that you guys have. So if you're new to watching these kinds of things with us, pop your questions in the comments. And if you're also watching this on replay, feel free to pop your questions in the comments on the video as well, and we will get to them as soon as possible. But if you are watching it live today, we will address these at the end. Okay, so if you have questions unrelated even to what we're talking about today, and you just want to ask someone while they're here in person, feel free to pop those in. But my first question is actually going to go to Heather from Heather Studio. I kind of want to start off by usually my December in my business is reflecting on 24 and projecting for 25. So like prepping and getting ready, but also understanding what worked, maybe what didn't, and what I want to replicate next year. So Heather, my first question for you is, what was your most effective strategy this year for driving traffic to your shop, and how exactly did you believe that impacted your sales?
Yeah, so to start off, I think Etsy is just what I like to call a organic traffic machine. So one of my strategies has always been kind of utilizing that organic traffic machine by targeting the right keywords and, believe it or not, the right niches. Also, Leslie, you're fine pronouncing niche. It's just like a funny inside joke because I had a lot of people comment niche on my channel once, and I was like, let's just make this an inside joke. So anyone watching, welcome to the inside joke now.
It's funny because everybody on my channel is the exact opposite. They're like, it's pronounced the way Heather says it. It's just
no. No, I feel like, everyone has different pronunciations of words, and I just get a kick out of it. I love it so much. And also sending hugs and virtual hugs and love to all of you in the chat today and team niche people as well. So as far as traffic strategies go, for the purpose of organic traffic and kind of utilizing that to my best, I like to, first off, I like to target broad niches, and then I go to more micro niches. So I guess broad niches, the best way to describe those is maybe a large niche. It probably has a lot of competition, also a lot of demand. And it usually has multiple smaller niches underneath it, right? It's like an umbrella niche, if you will. So an example of that is maybe the occupation or professions niche, right? If we think of different professions in jobs, there are so many niches and micro niches underneath that. So niches that we can branch into is like education, law, healthcare. There, and then underneath that, we can serve those micro niches. So we're kind of getting a little bit more into our target audience, right? And who we're selling to. And for education, an example is teacher, but there's so many types of teachers that we can serve underneath the teacher niche, right? So math teachers, English teachers, what have you. So when I'm creating my keywords in SEO that's going into my tags, my titles, my listings, I'm serving, first of all, that broad niche, that umbrella niche. So I'm usually using teacher as SEO or education or something along those lines. Usually not education. I wouldn't recommend that, but hopefully that gives a good example of how I like to target and bring in traffic to my Etsy shop. But for me, listing consistently and listing, I would say, probably in higher volumes of listings on my shop. Etsy, the reason why I chose Etsy as my main platform to sell on, and I still choose Etsy, and I know like this completely other side tangent and topic to talk about, which is like I know a lot of people don't like Etsy as far as this year goes, but I still choose Etsy because I think it still is one of the best platforms to sell on because of that organic traffic system, that if you know how to utilize it, you can really use it to your advantage for that organic traffic. So I like to list consistently and in high volumes of listings. The second approach I do for my traffic gain is Etsy ads. I think even doing the minimum budget, right, of like $1 a day can still help you grow your shop and get that initial traction, that initial visibility to your shop. I don't recommend Etsy ads necessarily to those of you who have just started and began. I would say list a little bit first, get your bearings, and then maybe throw some fire to that traffic, right? In using ads and knowing your audience. It always comes down to me to the niche, and that's why I make a joke out of it, because I really think knowing your audience is most important when it comes to traffic. If you don't know your audience, if you don't know your niche, you're most likely not going to be getting that traffic because you don't know who you're serving, right? So, and then social media is my third way that I brought in traffic this year. But out of all three, I even have my stats pulled up on my shop that I currently have. And in this year alone, my number one traffic driver was my organic traffic, my SEO, and even direct traffic from Google, like in search engines. It's mostly my keywords and again, my audience. So I hope that was valuable for those watching. And I'm so sorry, I kind of went way over on that answer. I promise I'm done now.
No, not at all. I love that. That was a perfect combination of exactly like what, first of all, what worked for you. And secondly, what I think we have seen work time and time again, even if you are a general store, which is really cool because you are a general store or you like to kind of like gravitate towards that by also still ironically focusing on niches, etc. Because each individual listing could be its own niche, could be its own focus on a person, could be its own verbiage. So I really, really love that everyone's doing that on this channel, on this live, and also be able to spotlight that for you guys as well. Also, I totally forgot to spotlight this. I worked really hard on these, and then Cassiy and Jenny helped me out. I made these.
They're so cute.
Thanks. We also have little mugs.
I love how you cross-niched here. You did a brand logo plus coquette plus holiday. Very good. How you're going to stand out in the market. Very
exactly.
good.
That's actually why I built this myself, was I wanted to show you guys how I could personally, also all of you guys could take something, whatever it is, and combine it with Heather's strategies of niching down, Cassie's strategies of taking elements and fonts and colors that are currently trending and then popping them all into one thing that could do really cool. So I love it, and I'm warm and it feels really great. It's like 11 degrees where I'm at, so that's saying a lot. But with that, I think it's a perfect segue into Miss Cassiy Johnson. I did have a question as well about 2024. Did you happen to have, and I might have just spoke about it unintentionally, but did you happen to have a standout product or a standout trend that you capitalized on in 2024? And what was the like process behind finding that? Again, as high level as you could possibly get. Obviously, go to her channel and learn all about this too in much, much greater detail. But for today's purposes, how can someone take that same process and do the same thing next year?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that with print on demand, and this is something I'll say 10 billion more times, and I've said it 10 billion times before, is that simple sells. And so what I'll tell you is that there's not some like secret trend that like if you miss it, you're not going to get sales. There's not like some secret strategy that like you don't know that the people who are finding sales do know. That it really all comes down to the simplest things sell. And so for me this year, with the launch last year of Hello Custom, the personalization automation tool, I actually focused a lot more on personalization in 2024 than I even did in previous years, because personalization just takes a long time to personalize each name or date, And so it's something I've always done some in my store, but 2024 was the first year where I made it kind of my main focus. And so I think I only listed a few items in my store that were not personalized in 2024. And so that was actually the big standout for me this year, was switching to personalization. And I think there is a lot of power in that. You don't have to do personalization, but if you're thinking about why someone's shopping on Etsy, they're shopping on Etsy because they want a unique item that they can't go to Walmart or Target to buy. Otherwise, they'd go to Amazon, they'd go to Walmart, they'd go to Target and buy it there. They're coming to Etsy because they're like, I want to buy a really amazing gift that they can't get somewhere else. Like if you're thinking about it, if someone were to buy me, say, like this cute little cup that says books and coffee on it. It's cute, but you could buy this at Walmart. But bam, my name's on top. So I like it way more than I would have otherwise. Or if you're looking at an ornament, if it's like Merry Christmas, or if it says Johnson Family Christmas with the date I married my husband, like that's so much more special to me. And so that was my big focus this year, is find niches and personalize it. Something really simple. It doesn't have to be like custom location, custom name, custom date, even just a custom year on it or just a custom last name. Something small can make a huge, huge difference. And so I'd say that was kind of the biggest thing that I focused on in 2024 that kind of moved the needle for me. But another thing would be ornaments. Just in general, ornaments were a huge focus this year that I had. And that made a really big difference in my Q4, And so it's nice to be getting some extra sales around the holidays as well. So that's kind of my 2 cents for what worked for me in 2024 anyways.
I love that. So 2 things I want to take away from that is, one is we are going to make Heather a niche shirt, Leslie a knit shirt, and Cassiy a BAM shirt with all caps and exclamation points, because that was incredible. The second thing I took from that, a little bit of BAM in your life.
That.
The second thing I took was you mentioned a lot of people are nervous about personalization, especially if they're in the print on demand space, simply because, like you said, could be a little time consuming. So I love the idea of, I don't want the laziness of not personalizing stuff. Sorry, hate to be rude, but like sometimes it could just be seen as like you really do want passive and you don't want to put the active work into it. So ignore that comment from me. But I really love the idea of the little bit of a lazy attempt, but is very effective in the personalization space for adding just the year. Because the cool thing about that is it is still personalized, very much so. It's still tailored to right now, but you only make it once and you can sell it a bunch of times. So that is still technically a personalized offer. It just doesn't have like Leslie 2024. So I think that was a really, really good idea. And I've personally done that in the past as well. I actually did the same thing with the ornament of our first engaged Christmas, or first married Christmas, stuff like that. But the same problem being like I had to make every single one with the new last name, right? So then I just kind of changed it, first engaged Christmas 2023, and a lot of them still sold. So I think that's a really good idea from Cassiy for you guys thinking about things in the future as well. You don't have to do Christmas stuff. You don't have to do holiday stuff. That's just because of the season of life that we're in right now. But what about like family cruise 2024? What about bachelorette party 2024? Like there's so many, or 2025, obviously, because we're getting into the new year. There's so many different ways that you can still personalize it without having to do that manual work. So I love that. Someone just said how to personalize in all caps if you don't have time. And I was like, hopefully that helps. Being able to, at minimum, just add that year answers that question. So now with that said, Jenny, I want to move on to you really quickly. You've been a role model for staying consistent, but also being able to scale in different areas, even including starting your own YouTube channel. So I want to ask, what systems or tools have you used to stay productive while also continuing to grow in multiple different ways this year?
So basically, great question. The way I stay consistent is with a free tool, and that's actually my mindset, which I've had to really work on over the years. But I truly believe that mindset is the key to staying consistent, especially when things get tough. You really have to show up even when you don't feel like it. It's all about pushing through on those days when the motivation isn't there. And I have to remind myself why I started. And I also think about like my vision, like what am I working towards? I feel like the key to success is showing up on the days that you don't feel like it. I think that's like a quote somewhere, but it's just always stuck with me. Like there will be days where like, with Etsy, you're doing the same tasks over and over again, and it can kind of get boring over time. And in the beginning, you feel like the needle's not moving. And you start, you're bored by it, right? But like it's showing up on the days where you feel bored, where you don't feel like doing it, like, showing up when you don't feel like it. And apart from that, I found that breaking things down into smaller, manageable tasks help a lot. So personally, in the beginning, I was a full-time teacher and a mom, and I had to work within the pockets of my time. So when I had a free moment, I would know ahead of time what I needed to work on. So maybe I would have free 15 minutes and I would sit down and research niches and SEO in that time. And then maybe I typically would jot it down if I had my notebook or in my notes on my phone and write in there what I was going to work on in the next pocket of my time. So when you get that next pocket of time, you're not sitting there like, what should I work on now? You know exactly what you're going to work on next. So that next pocket of time, I might design for 15 minutes. And then this is how it is with a full-time job and being a mom, like you're busy, but I had to make this work. I didn't have hours to sit and do it, So then the next pocket of time, I'm then listing, and now my days are mostly free because I've become pretty successful with all of this. So I have a lot of free time on my hands. However, I'm still a busy mom. So I'm working during my baby's nap time, and I'm working late at night sometimes. And, you have to just make it a habit too. James Clear, what's that word? The Atomic Habits is such a good book to read too about this. Make it a habit, even when you don't feel like it, you're showing up every day. At the end of the day, consistency is a muscle, and you just have to keep showing up even when you don't feel like it. So that's been the key for me.
I love that. And I actually want to quickly spotlight something. I didn't think I wanted to necessarily share it on here. I'm going to pull it up for you guys real fast, though, in case you haven't seen it. For anybody that has not seen our video that we launched on YouTube on Tuesday, highly, highly, highly recommend after this live that you go check that out, because I actually created a resource for you guys that is almost everything that Jenny just said. So what should you be doing daily? What should you be doing weekly? What should you be doing quarterly, etc.? So I broke down different holidays that are going to be potentially beneficial to you guys. Maybe it could help you on your niche research. But I also built a little, what I like to call a DWM. That's a little bit of like corporate slang from back being in the corporate world for about 10 to 11 years. But just like Jenny said, when you were, or if you still are now, in a 9-to-5 job, whether you're the top dog, you're the manager at that, whatever, you have a list of things that you have to do on a monthly basis. And then you theoretically are splitting those up on a daily, weekly, whatever basis, right? You also more than likely, depending on what your job is, have certain goals to reach by the end of the quarter, by the end of the year, biannually, etc. And if you guys are not treating your business with Etsy, with e-commerce, with online, whatever it is, whatever you guys are personally doing, it's I hate to say it, but it's going to fail, just because the same way that like your corporate structure would also fail if it didn't have the structure. So if you guys are interested, I think that's a perfect segue into the thing that we already did this week, and they didn't necessarily even like happen together per se, like this live versus the video. They weren't necessarily planned at all together, but I do think, knowing that Jenny was talking about consistency being a muscle, having a resource like this to work that muscle just like you would work a muscle in the gym might be helpful to you guys. So I wanted to make sure that you guys knew about that. And then you can print this out, you can add to it, you can subtract from it, make it completely yours, and make 2025 really, really special. So with that said, I want to move on to my girl, Passive Income Angel, as well. Since your name is Passive Income Angel, I want to ask, how did you leverage passive income strategies to scale your business this year? Because a lot of the people that watch these videos with me every week are really, really into understanding the passive elements. So tell me how you did it this year and how someone might be able to replicate it next year.
Sure. Let me just preface this by saying that my real name is actually Angel. Whenever I first got into print on demand, it seemed very passive to me because I started out as like a handmade seller. Like I was making handmade earrings, I did handmade pottery. And so I knew like the grunt work that goes into making physical products. And it's a lot of work and a lot of time, a lot of dedication. And so when I discovered print on demand, it did seem very passive to me because it just like blew my mind that I could sell a product that I'd never seen or touched. I didn't have to keep inventory. I didn't have to ship it myself. All I had to do was what I enjoy doing, which is designing and then, sharing it with the world. So it was just so mind blowing to me. It's to this day, it's still just like mind blowing to me that you can change your life with this really just relatively new revolutionary way to make money. So some people do say, argue it's not passive because it does involve front loading. It does involve, it's a skill. You're learning how to run a business that's sustainable and that you can scale. So it's a skill. It takes time and effort, but to me, it's very much passive income. So that said, there's a lot of ways I diversify my income with passively. Obviously, Etsy's print on demand. I'm also on platforms that I can repurpose my designs I create for Etsy with. So, for example, I also sell on Merch by Amazon. And so I'm able to take those designs that I'm selling on Etsy and just upload those onto Merch by Amazon, which is very passive. And it's it's very easy to upload your designs. It's actually even easier than Etsy. And there's no, customer service. And I'm able to increase my income and scale my income with those same designs. So I personally like having my designs on multiple platforms because I don't like to have all my eggs in one basket. But most of my income does come from Etsy itself. But once again, I I just think it's a good idea to diversify your income. So that's one recommendation I have is just exploring new platforms. I think TikTok has a lot of promise. I think TikTok is amazing just to drive traffic to your Etsy shop. There are a couple of shops, not couple, but there are many shops on Etsy that are just crushing it. And literally their traffic is just from TikTok. And they're not on TikTok Shop or anything. They're just making like this. There's this one video, or this one account. They sell like funny mental health shirts on Etsy. And their video, like all it is it's two pictures and they have I'm talking 10 million views on these videos. And it's just a slideshow of them opening up their package. And it has a funny subtitle. That's it. And so just keep that in mind to make sure that you're attempting to use social media a little bit. I think I really appreciate what Heather had to say about niches and about Etsy being an SEO driven platform. So SEO is that strong foundation, and you can certainly make a lot of money just organically using in-demand SEO. But keep in mind that you are leaving your money on the table not using any social media. So, taking time to pin on Pinterest, taking time to leverage Facebook groups. You don't have to. I started out and made my first 100K Etsy without doing that. It just went viral organically, being ahead of trends and things like that. But looking back, I now realize I did leave money on the table, not utilizing any social media. And then I also wanted to mention about, of course, automation. One tool that I really appreciate with EverBee is their email automation. Guys, it is so important, in my opinion, to be able to control your audience a little bit. And if there's ever an algo change on Etsy, you can kind of counteract that with email. And Etsy does reward you in rankings in the algo if you help drive your traffic. They notice that. So using email automation can help with that. And what EverBee's email automation allows you to do is collect those emails within, the site policy. And then it will send automated emails on your behalf to help drive more traffic to your shop. Email marketing is not dead at all. It's still a great way to generate leads. It's still a great way to drive traffic to your shop and get more sales. And then, of course, AI. I definitely use AI now to help automate my workflow so that I am, making money in my sleep. Also, I just started using it, like tools like Simply Listed, like Cassiy had mentioned, that allow you to get out more listings faster. I think that's for myself. I'm a busy mom too. Like Jenny was saying, I have 2 young children that I care for, and it is hard to find the time to list. And you use pockets of your time, and I do a lot of block scheduling where I try and keep similar tasks together, just to be able to increase my output. And using tools like Simply Listed, because I just dread mockups, I dread creating them, it just makes it faster. So any tool that you can use that's going to help automate your workflow, take advantage of, explore them, because the more that you can get out, the more you can increase your revenue.
Sweet. So I think the good news is we kind of in this, we were talking about like reflection of 2024. But then it was all kind of like, but go do this next year. So it was also prep work for 2025, which is awesome. So I kind of want to hit back to Heather real quick. And we're going to go through kind of like a speed round of sorts of, okay, now that we know all of those things that worked or didn't work this year, how do we want to do things potentially differently next year? So I want to ask Heather, in your opinion, whether it's print on demand, digital, even service-based, like doesn't really matter to me what type of seller there are, but how can sellers prepare their shop now to stay ahead of trends in 2025, especially after the busy Q4 season, knowing that Q1 standardly for like every business, by the way, not just Etsy, not just online e-com, Q1 is standardly the slowest time of the year, simply because there was a really big rush last quarter. So knowing that, is there anything that you believe people can do to stay ahead of trends all year long, or at least just get ready for 2025 right now?
Yeah, so I think first off, I'll try to make this as quick as possible. I know I kind of went over when I initially made an answer. So as far as going back to niches, now I know everyone at this stage is probably like, Heather, stop saying that word. I actually have a Tumblr that says drink every time Heather says niche. So drink water, not alcohol. We try to keep it healthy here, okay? But don't over drink water. Also, stay hydrated, but not too hydrated. We don't want water poisoning.
On our
No. So as far as niches go, I think it's good to set a layer of what is your target audience? When we're talking about niches, what is your target audience? Who are you trying to sell to? I think when people start, when they're thinking about trends, it's like, oh, I'm going to chase every single niche. I'm going to go into Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day next year. And I rather a lot of people maybe figure out what their main niche is and what their kind of theme of their shop is. So going back to my example earlier, if you are creating listings for teachers, there are teachers. What exactly happens throughout the year for a teacher that we can create listings for? And what trends apply to teachers, and that theme, that overarching theme and niche that you are designing for in your shop? Instead of chasing trends, chasing Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, can we chase those trends with that main niche focus? So we're almost cross niching, kind of what Jenny said earlier. We're going to cross niche. We're going to do maybe St. Patrick's Day teacher t-shirts, right? Valentine's Day teacher t-shirts. Now, Valentine's Day, I will say, like, we're kind of getting close to when searches go or searches and search volumes are higher. So I would maybe focus on St. Patrick's Day for teachers if you're going to jump into that right now. You typically want to post for certain niches 60 to 90 days, at least in my opinion, 60 to 90 days prior to when there is a trend of search volume. So typically for Valentine's Day, January, I would say end of December to January is when I typically see those search volumes and that demand grow on Etsy. So that's why I recommend doing St. Patrick's Day right now instead. But that's just my opinion, and I know it's different for everyone. But so that's my biggest example to those of you. And then also use research tools like EverBee, right? That's why we're on this call, and why I love EverBee so much, because it shows us that market demand that I keep talking about for these niches and for these seasons coming up. And also in the perspective of the niche that you're creating listings for, you want to focus primarily on exactly what those niches are searching for throughout the year, right? We have new teachers who are graduating. Can we create listings for new teachers graduating? Can we create listings for them accepting maybe a job in the area that they're looking for, or also back to school, teacher appreciation week? There's so much that aligns with that niche, right? So again, going back to niches, figure out the niche, the foundational layer for your shop, and then you can go from there and create those seasonal listings and trends throughout the year, right? So
Sweet. To piggyback off that real fast again, I want to quickly bring up the thing that we alluded to a second ago as well. So what Heather said of being able to kind of niche down a little bit, but then cross niche or maybe even go a little bit deeper into those. That's actually the reason I've built this 2 years in a row now for you guys. So that's the reason why I do this now, so that you can get ahead of the things in Q1, Q2. So like, let's just look at this, like National Weatherman's Day. I don't know about you guys, but I would have literally never thought of that. But knowing that we see that that is a national holiday for whatever reason. I mean, they're very important, but like I would have never thought about them myself, but there is a national holiday related directly to them. So that must mean, if I, think critically, that must mean that there's a lot of them out there. And that also must mean that there are a lot of people that would maybe want to gift those lot of people out there as well. So that's also why I kind of did this for you guys, is not only to show you, of course, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, all the things that Heather was just talking about, but also just as small as like Giant Panda Bear Day is literally neck and neck right next to St. Patrick's Day. And then we have things like Mom and Pop Business Owners Day, World Piano Day. So like thinking outside of the box of what we currently have, while also being able to pair this spreadsheet with EverBee and seeing basically what you could do, guys. I'm going to give you a full-blown strategy of what you could do over the next 3 weeks of December. Take this spreadsheet, go into EverBee, go into keyword research and product analytics, type in all of these things and figure out which one sticks, which one has the most search volume, which one has the least amount of competition, which one has a design aesthetic that you're interested in jumping into. This is a really, really good way to pair everything that Heather just mentioned together over the next 3 weeks and build out that strategy for yourself. So I think that was a perfect, again, kind of allusion to something that we already built for you guys. Head to the EverBee YouTube channel, go to the most recently posted video this past Tuesday, and you will find that link in there. Now I want to move on really quickly. Got a little bit time left, about 5 or so more minutes. So I want to check in with Cassiy real quick again on if there are any design or marketing trends on Etsy that you see gaining momentum in 2025. Obviously, I took the coquette and like pastel pink route of trends that happened this year. Are you seeing a little bit of anything right now that you think might stick or, go viral or something next year that they could go ahead and get into?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said in the beginning, and I'll keep this quick, I really love to focus on scalable methods for your print on demand business. So, if I'm going to give you the like condensed version of what I think you should do in 2025 to be successful, I think it's really important to come up with an exact system that you can repeat and use over and over again. So, starting with mock-ups, if you're selling apparel, it's really important to be using the trending mockups and the trending color for your main thumbnail image. So I'll tell you what worked really well in 2024 all the way to the end of the year right now, and it's going to work really well in 2025. Are the folded mockups are selling so well for comfort colors, for Gildan 18,000, for the comfort color sweatshirts. Those are doing so well. So it's like a folded shirt with 3 specific colors are the ones I'd recommend using for your main image. That'd be like the moss or military green color, the ivory or the sand color, or the dark heather gray or pepper. So like those are different brands, but it's like green, sand, and gray are like by far the top selling main thumbnail images if you scroll through thousands of bestsellers like I have. On top of that, one of the other really, well, I guess espresso. Let me just throw that out there. If you're selling comfort colors, espresso, I'd say is also in the top. I can't leave out espresso. That one has been kind of a newer in the last 4 or 5 months, kind of taking over color. Beyond that, when it comes to design, yes, there are always different trends like coquette. Next year, I think I saw on Pinterest trends that castle core is supposedly going to be trending. There's always new trends that come and go, but I will tell you a timeless trend that you can implement in your store is monochrome. And you can combine that with any other trend you have. And that has been absolutely gigantic in 2024. And I don't see it going anywhere. So that's like doing dark brown on light brown shirt, or doing dark blue on a light blue shirt, dark pink on a light pink shirt. So just think tone on tone, or even just one color design. So like all green design on an ivory shirt. 10 out of 10. Those have been knocking it out of the park this year. And so to boil it down, find a set of mockups that you can reuse 100% of the year and only use those best mockups that you find. And then come up with some fonts and colors that you can reuse in every niche that you find. Get a system, find what works, and repeat it. Don't be reinventing the wheel. If it takes you longer than maybe 5 minutes to design, you're probably overthinking it. We need to boil down our processes and get from the time where we pick a niche and actually post the design in our store to like 20 minutes. That's where we want to be. You might not be there yet, but just keep doing the research, refine your process, and repeat the process over and over again.
I love that. That was awesome. All right, so we are at 10:42 now, so I want to be very, very mindful and respectful of everybody's time. Obviously, all of my awesome guests that I have here today, they have lives and families to take care of. Jenny's actually in Greece, and it's like, what, 7 p.m. your time almost?
Almost 6.
Almost 6. Okay, well, I got a couple minutes left with her before she's got to go eat dinner with her babies. So with that said, I would like to go ahead and segue into taking care of the people who took the time to come to this live stream today, and go ahead and spotlight. I've got 20 questions, not going to lie to you. Probably not going to be able to get through all of them, guys. I do apologize. I will choose the ones that I believe are going to provide the most value to the biggest amount of people. But I think what I want to do, the girls don't know this yet, so bear with me. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to try, based on the question, to ask each of you individually the question. And of course, if any of you have anything additional that you want to add to it, please feel free to jump in. But basically, what I know about you, I'm going to attach a question to you. So are you ready?
Yeah.
Rapid fire? Sound good?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Heather, first one for you. Since you're my niche girl, do you? Oh my God, I said it. Nope, I said it wrong. Still, never mind. All right, I got excited. No, it's still me. I'm the problem. Is the wedding niche too broad or saturated in Etsy print on demand? Do you believe yes or no?
To start in or start listing, or they just asked, is it too broad?
Let's just say to start listing in.
No. I think Etsy does prioritize newer listings over older listings. They do like a cycling of new listings in their algorithm. I see new listings pop up all the time. So no.
Sweet. Also for you guys, to piggyback off that, if you think outside the box in either print on demand, service-based, handmade, digital, I think that there can also be a lot of things to jump into. I wouldn't necessarily maybe get into like koozies or t-shirts, but there's a lot of different print on demand things that you could possibly do, and also handmade as well in that space. All right, let's see. We've got let's go to Cassiy for this one, I think. Oh, don't hate me. How do you go about handling the event if your designs show up on different platforms by people who have potentially repurposed your designs, and now your shop is the one that has been penalized because of it? Either Cassiy or anyone that might have any feedback on this one. I've unfortunately seen this a couple times now.
I'm not as familiar with what you mean by your shop has been penalized because of it. Are you talking about like what happened earlier this year where there was like repeats on other platforms? Because I thought all that got resolved.
Okay. So
I think
supposedly
what
like
they're
this
referring-
particular person had something today.
Go ahead,
I was
Angel.
just going to say that this has happened in my shop before where someone stole my design, posted it on another platform like Redbubble, for example, turned in my design for copyright infringement. My original design. So I'm assuming that's what they're referring to.
Yes, ma'am.
And so then what I had to do is I had to fight the infringement on Etsy, which you can do. You can appeal it. It's very easy to do. I think Cassiy might even have a video on that, don't you, Cassiy? If you have time to drop that video in there, feel free. But
Nice.
Cassiy has an entire video about like how to fight like frivolous copyright infringements. And then in addition, I went onto the platform, I think it was Redbubble, and I reported their listing to Redbubble. So just about any platform that someone sells on, you can report them. And they did take it down.
Nice. Okay. So hopefully no one runs into that, but if you do, I think there's a couple of resources out there, including one of Cassiy's videos to check out as well. And then I wanted to circle back really quickly when we're talking about different platforms. Of course, a couple people in the comments while we were talking about it, I wanted to address it now instead of at the time, about the potential TikTok ban. So obviously Angel brought that up, that like you should be on TikTok, but obviously that's a little bit of a looming conversation. To be honest, I used to make the majority of my money from TikTok. And when I found out about the potential ban last year, I decided to kind of not remove, but like pull back a little bit and start to, like Angel and everyone else on this channel has said, diversify my income a little bit in other locations. What I never, ever, ever want you guys to ever do is rely on a platform to make money. So I know a lot of people are hoping and praying that Etsy brings you sales. And well, let's say, God forbid, something happens where that gets taken away from you, or Etsy shuts down tomorrow themselves. Whatever it is, will you be able to stand on both legs and continue your business forward? If the answer is no, you need to diversify, and or you need to have what I call a home base. So whether your home base be a Shopify store that is yours with your own domain, or your home base is at minimum an email list where these are your leads that you own. I really do think that is an absolute must, especially knowing that things might be transitioning off of one platform to potentially others. Also, Jenny made a really, really good point. There's always going to be another platform, always. Yeah. So just keep that in mind. Even if this one gets taken down tomorrow, you guys should utilize the skills that you learned while you were on that platform to do the exact same thing on the next one. If it worked for you on one, theoretically speaking, it's going to work on the next thing as well. So just make sure that you are building a home base. You are not only relying on algorithms or platforms to drive you sales, but you are in the driver's seat of all of those different things. Someone also asked, I'm going to ask everybody if someone wants to say yes or no. Do you all have VAs that assist you in order processing and listing? Question mark. Yep, Cassiy does.
Kind of.
Jenny, Angel. So
my husband.
Oh yeah, I forgot. That's so cute.
Yeah.
So 75% of the group do. Heather, do you have VAs helping you with anything else? Maybe email marketing, social media marketing, stuff like that?
Yes. Yep.
Sweet. Okay. And same thing for me. To be honest, the way that I personally been able to scale my business personally and being able to hang out with you guys all here today is because I have someone else doing 90% of the stuff that I had to do today so that I could focus wholly on this. So a VA doesn't have to be the one that's doing order processing and customer service management in order to take things off of your plate. So I do agree that like outsourcing is probably the best way to scale if and when you're ready. And obviously you have the capital. Someone said this is actually directly for passive income Angel. So Angel, I'm going to ask you, can you explain more about how you currently use AI to improve your workflows?
So I use ChatGPT a lot.
Same.
I use it to assist me with like answering difficult customer service questions or solutions to a problem. I use it to help with trend ideas. That can be helpful. I don't use it really for SEO. I think it's too early for that, in my opinion. And also, recently, a lot of people don't realize this. Recently, Etsy actually blocked AI from being able to like analyze its listings. So I wouldn't use it for like SEO. I think it's a good starting point, and it can give you lots of ideas, keyword ideas for your SEO for sure, or for your description, things like that. But I wouldn't use it solely for that. I think still just doing your research on Etsy, digging into your shop data is the best way to do that. But yeah, I use it for all sorts of things. I use it for some design elements. I don't use AI. I do use AI art, but I never use it like as is. I always like edit it in a software, and I use it more as like an element in my design, not the entire design. But yeah, I use it all the time. It's mind blowing how much it's changed my workflow.
Same.
AI has been really helpful for me personally.
We need to change her name to AI Angel.
Right? Not PI Angel anymore, AI Angel.
Yeah, Angel.
Another thing you could do, guys, is AI, when you put the right prompt in, I can only say that a billion times in a row, they can create your emails for you. And then going back to what Heather said a second ago, that knowing your person like the back of your hand is going to change the game for you in sales, literally no matter what you're selling. If you know who you're selling to, what their struggles are, what their pain points are, what their day looks like, what their routines are in the morning, you're going to be able to sell them anything, hands down. So you can actually ask, I call him Charles. For anyone who has not been on these live streams, you don't know that, but everyone who has, Charles is my boy. That's my coworker. We hang out all day, every day. I asked Charles, hey, I am looking to sell this to this person. Tell me how to speak to that person. Exactly what they need to know, what they need to receive from me, what verbiage I should be using, what common terms they're using in their everyday language, and then take that and add it to your sales plan. Okay. All right. Someone said, it's kind of an interesting question. So I'm going to ask Jenny, potentially. We'll see whoever wants to throw their name in the hat. I have an item that has 40,000 views, but only 10 sales and 754 favorites. Does this poor conversion rate affect my overall store/listing rankings? ? He's wondering whether or not he should unlist this item.
So 40,000 views, 10 sales, and what was the other part of the stat?
750 favorites.
That's wild.
Wild.
Wild. I wonder if they're on social media, like how are they getting so many views to it? What do you girls think?
So I'd say, just for anyone watching, not that it applies necessarily here, but a good conversion rate, just like on the internet in general, is that you want maybe like 2 to 4% of the people who look at your listing to buy. That might feel really low, but that's actually like what a good conversion rate is. And so this listing, I'd say the conversion rate is real low. It does seem odd that there'd be 700 favorites and only 10 sales. Maybe your shop's just really new. Maybe you don't have a lot of reviews yet. Maybe it's like a trust thing potentially. Or I'd look at your listing. Are you like confusing anyone in any way? Are you like offering colors that aren't actually for sale in the drop down? Like, is there something about the listing that might be causing distrust somewhere? But I will say that from my personal experience, Etsy ranks listings individually for the most part. I wouldn't say that one listing that's not converting well is going to hurt your whole store. By any means. I'd probably ride it out a little bit and see, but you have found a gold mine of a niche. I would be making about 50 more designs for that same niche. It's like that design must not be hitting for whatever reason. I'd be trying different design styles, different mock-ups, but using the exact same SEO or method to list it as you have, because finding the traffic can sometimes be the hardest thing.
True.
It could be the price point too, maybe.
I was just about to say, like, if it's a little bit higher, but like they all love it and they're just waiting for it to come down.
But I definitely would not change the SEO, and do not change your main photo because it'll screw up the algorithm. So you don't want to change those two things because you're getting a lot of views on it. So there's something within your listing that you need to tweak, and it might be something as little as like Cass said, maybe different colors in your mock-ups aren't matching up with what you're actually selling, and maybe it's the price point. So yeah, I would kind of study other
Yeah, if
parts
you
of
have a
your
really high shipping cost or something, you know, maybe play
Yeah.
around with it, see if you get some more conversions.
Also, I'd say to piggyback on what Jenny said, the price point or running a flash sale, sometimes that can convert some people looking and viewing into making that decision to purchase. So a flash sale you can run under like 12 hours or 24 hours on your shop. Maybe throw on like a 15 to 25% discount. Etsy usually recommends 25%, but I would recommend maybe trying that before changing anything else.
Agreed,
Yeah, he said
because all the people that had it as a favorite will get a notification that their favorited item is currently on sale. So that might drive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. I love it. All right. I'm going to pop this one back to Heather as well, our niche girl. Is it better to have a shop? And I've asked you this probably 10 times since we've been talking for the past couple months, but is it better to have a shop for each niche or a general shop? For example, I want to focus on weddings, but I also have a new shop for Christmas ornies. I've never heard ornaments brought down to word ornaments, but I will be saying it forever. Thank you, Beverly.
Yes, yes. I love that new word that we've created today. So I personally in my own shop, I have one shop with multiple products, multiple niches. One of the reasons why is because I don't want to go legally create a new DBA. If you're new to business in the business world, a DBA is doing business as document that you usually have to file with your county with every new shop name that you create on Etsy. So if you have one LLC, you can have multiple DBAs. One example is like Victoria's Secret. They have Pink as a DBA and Victoria's Secret. So they operate as two businesses. So for me, I like to do it all in one for that legal reason. The other reason being is Etsy, I've known through my time in selling has usually it does not associate your other products in your shop. However, if someone favorites your shop, they favorite an item in your shop, they will get notifications if you upload new listings and products. So anything related to that niche that they purchased in before, they will be shown those products. So a theme shop is good, but you still can't have a general shop, and that's what I recommend. But I will say, going back to what Cassiy recommends, is keeping it simple. Do one thing, get good at that one thing, and then go to the next thing. So apply that to your niche. So start in the wedding niche or Christmas ornament niche, whatever you decide. Get good at that one niche and that product or design, and then move to the next.
Love it. Love it. All right. And then the last one that we have, I'm going to go ahead and take this one just because it is an EverBee question. So do the email addresses for EverBee email or whoever your email provider is that you choose come from your orders in Etsy? So I really, really wanted to hit on this one because absolutely not, but also kind of potentially. And the reason why is you have to have people opt in to be a part of your email list. So like we said a second ago, building that home base, building the thing that like I own these names, these leads, so that I could potentially hit them in the future should everything in the world shut down except for this email list. However, you do need to have an opt-in form of sorts generated so that they can opt in to receiving marketing information from you. So what you do not want to do is start going into Etsy and copying and pasting some emails and then starting to send them emails. What you need to do is make that opt-in form within EverBee email. We also have a QR code that you can easily add to digital or printed business cards. You can add it to your banner, your about photos, your listing photos, a bunch of different places, obviously social media as well. And then that is going to be the location where they can actually add themselves to your list. What you probably want to do to incentivize them is something along the lines like Heather mentioned earlier, a discount of sorts, a freebie of sorts, something that makes sense for, like, even though they're not buying anything, it's a transaction. They are giving you their pride and joy. They are giving you access to their email address, which they're getting bombarded from a million other businesses every day in. So that means that they are interested in learning from you. They're interested in buying from you potentially, even if they haven't. So what you want to do is make sure that you build the opt-in form first, put it in a million different places that you possibly can where it makes sense, and then start hitting those people. All right. So we have a couple of different extra questions. I want to make sure that, like I said, I'm respectful of time. So someone did ask really quickly that I want to make sure that I hit on, Cassiy, before we leave. When is Simply Listed going to start running? I believe you're in beta right now, correct, Cassiy?
No, we're out of beta.
Oh, you're out?
We are fully launched, fully live. You can have your free trial at simplylisted.io. And you can start automating all of your mockups right now. As of right this second, we are only integrated with Printify. So we'll grab your Printify designs, put them on your own mockups for you, and even publish them to Etsy. So you don't even have to download them. And we also have a SKU linking feature. So if you sell like shirts, sweatshirts, kid shirts, all in one listing, we can copy all your Printify SKUs into that listing for you. So it's all connected to Printify. But in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we will be expanding into custom mockups. So you'll be able to do digital downloads, Gelato, Printful, anyone, EverBee Print, whoever you want to use. You'll just have to manually upload those ones to Etsy until we get fully integrated. So we're hoping to just take over the automation space there. So check out the free trial and stay tuned for more updates. And I did start a new YouTube channel, Simply Listed, on YouTube, with a bunch of tutorials for, like, I've got one for tote bags, mugs, phone cases. You can use Simply Listed to automate the mockups for anything. So
Beautiful.
Thanks for letting me talk about it. I'm super excited for you guys to check it out.
Of course, absolutely. And before I let everybody go, is there anything else that anybody else on this call, we have like incredible brains here, incredible minds. Is there anything else kind of like last minute, one last piece of advice, if you could do it in 15 words or less, one last piece of advice that you would give to potential sellers, new sellers, people who are wanting to get into building a business online for 2025? Anybody who wants to rapid fire it out?
I have a quick one for people who are already seller. As we get to the end of 2024, let's pretend like we're like a brick and mortar shop. We would have to be looking at all of the inventory that we have left, taking a look at what we've sold throughout the year, thinking about what we're going to be putting in our shops for next year. We should be doing the same thing as Etsy sellers. And if you're like me, you have thousands of listings in your shops. I'm out of control. And I have to go through and see which ones sold this year, which ones didn't. Is it worth it for me to keep this listing up? Take a look to see how many times it sold. If it didn't sell at all, my advice is maybe give it one new life by changing the SEO, changing its titles and tags, giving it, one new life, and listing it again and seeing if that sells. If not, then you really need to think, is this a good a niche that's in demand? Is this a good design? You need to have that conversation with yourself and get rid of it if you don't think it is, or give it one more. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Hold on, that's my dad. Hi, Dad.
Hey, Dad.
He's not watching this live right now.
Wow.
But basically,
Wow. Disowned.
We have a call-in user.
Hey, Dad, I have a question for you from an Etsy seller.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have something I wanted to. Oh, go ahead, Angel. Jenny.
No, I said he wants to be a part of the live. That's why. But yeah, that's basically my advice: is take inventory and prepare for next year. Now is the time to do it.
Sweet.
I love that, Jenny. I had a quick thing that I'll just throw out there. If you guys aren't seeing traction in your store, if you're overthinking things, spending a long time deciding on a niche, designing for it, posting it, if you've been doing this for months and you have 40 listings in your store, you need to stop overthinking and take action. And my number one tip for you today is to do some research on the best font. Find the best font and make white font only designs on like green or gray shirts, and post in a bunch of niches that you know are currently selling or about to be selling, And that's it. That's all you have to do. Don't overthink it. Don't even look at graphics. Don't look at a different font. I'm going to use one font, make a bunch of listings with it, because font only designs sell better than you think they will. And you need to work on moving your muscles, your print on demand muscles. And once those are warmed up and you start getting some sales, you start learning the process, you get faster, you're going to be able to get so much more done later instead of overthinking and having it take you a week to make a listing. We need it to be 20 minutes. Find a niche, make a really simple design, and post it. And that's where you want to be in 2025.
And get it simply listed in 20 minutes or less.
Exactly.
And
20
move
minutes,
on.
2025.
Yeah. Yeah. I have
But also, like Cass said, like list it, but then move on. Like don't get attached to any listing. Move on, keep listing. Sorry, Heather, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're fine. I have one quick thing as well. So for anyone in our call today who feels like they're trying and they're not getting those results that you want, my challenge to you at the end of this call is for next year, do something that gets you out of your comfort zone. Now, I know that's hard to hear, but if you're not seeing results in your shop, if you're not seeing traffic, how can you do something out of your comfort zone to get that traffic? That might be going on social media. That might be starting an email list. I know that sounds uncomfortable, but that could be the thing that separates you from seeing that traction. So just try something that's going to get you out of that comfort zone.
So my last piece of advice is for someone who has not started yet, who is kind of sitting on the sidelines, thinking about it, but they're worried because they don't know how to do it. They're intimidated about an LLC or all of the weird things that go into a business, which, by the way, you don't need an LLC to sell on Etsy. You're nervous because you don't know exactly what you're doing. Just get started. You don't need a huge launch. A lot of people think that they have to have the perfect niche. They have to have like a whole bunch of listings and do like a whole shop launch. You can launch your business today after this video with one idea, with one listing. Get started, change your life. It changed my life. It changed everyone's life on this call. You are next.
I love it. I love it. And the last thing that I will add really quickly, which is probably going to hurt the algorithm for all of us in the next couple of seconds, but stop watching YouTube videos. Trust your gut. Go with your intuition. You know what you're supposed to do. And in my opinion, the only like actual success comes from doing rather than watching. So learn all you can, but then get your freaking hands dirty and go where the numbers are telling you rather than a YouTube guru is telling you. And that's coming from someone who's on YouTube. Okay. So I really, really want you guys to trust yourselves next year, trust the numbers, go where the money is telling you to go. And then also my part 2 to that, because I just had a come to Jesus meeting with myself yesterday, is if you feel like you did everything and you still didn't find the success that you wanted this year, I really, really, really encourage you to get like in a meditative state and confirm that you did absolutely everything. And if you cannot say 100% that you did, what can we add in next year? My part 3 to this is they were saying, I think it was Cassiy a second ago that said, make sure that you were focusing on the things that Heather, that get you out of your comfort zone. I also would really, really, really focus on the things that bring you joy. So if there's something in the process that you freaking love, give that extra time next year, and all the rest of the stuff that you don't love so much will become a lot easier.
Okay, I have a shameless plug super fast because I love what you just said. I'm releasing an interview on my channel tomorrow with one of my students, Christine, and she took almost a year to get her first 100 sales, but then she just got 1,000 sales in 19 days. Last month, she hit 10,000 at the beginning of November. 19 days later, she was at 11,000. And one of the things she says in the interview, spoiler, you can check it out tomorrow, is that the biggest thing that made a difference in her business was to stop watching YouTube videos altogether and focus on only taking action instead of like working and just like researching everything to death. So I just thought that was a really good point, that she said the exact same thing. As much as I'd love for you to watch all of my YouTube videos, all of Angel's, all of Jenny's, all of Heather's, all of Leslie's, taking action, researching, designing, and posting on repeat is the only thing that makes you money. So focus on that.
Sweet.
But also you can have YouTube videos playing in the background. That's what I always did. I wouldn't sit there and waste my time and watch the whole video like this. It was on behind I would have my iPad in my hand doing this, and I would just be hearing it. And if there's something like a screen share, then yeah, I'll stop and see what they're doing. But you can have things on in the background as well. That way, that's part of Atomic Habits, that book too.
True.
You're pairing two things together. So yeah.
If you can multitask, do the YouTube video and work together, or if you can't multitask, just tunnel vision on that one thing.
Right. So we have two, if I'm not mistaken, we have two books that we wanted to recommend from this. Atomic Habits, we've mentioned that a couple times. I personally read it 3 years in a row. And the second one that I'm so glad that Heather brought up, because I didn't know if anybody even knew about it, but The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss is actually the book that I was reading when I put my 30-day notice in at my corporate job. And I read it once a year now. It's been 3 years since then. So highly recommend checking out both of those as well. Feel free also, I linked everyone that you see on this live today. I linked all of our YouTube channels in the description of this video. So if you are looking to procrastinate work a little bit just through the holidays, don't do that January 1st and on. But if you are looking to procrastinate work a little bit, feel free to jump into any of those. All of these ladies have literally dozens, probably hundreds of hours of stuff that you guys could watch and be able to apply to your own business next year, even as like small, which I think is really big, as just like the motivating, inspirational piece. That's why I chose all of these ladies to be on here, because I knew that not only would they give you the facts, the tips, the knowledge, but I knew that you guys would be leaving here feeling like you learned something while also feeling a little bit better about your journey as well. So I want to say, thank you guys so stinking much for being here. Thank you all also for being here with us. We have 230 people still hanging out with us 10 minutes after I said we were going to be done. So thank you guys so much. Feel free to come back and watch this replay at any time. It will forever be on our YouTube channel. And hopefully you guys will also maybe see Passive Income Angel in January hanging out with me as well. So thank you guys again for being here so much. And just so you guys know, this is our last, I'm so sad, but our last Coffee with EverBee for 2024. So stay tuned to your emails and the private members only Facebook group for when we go live again starting in January. Thank you guys so much. And we always end, ladies, with a little cheers with a mug.
Cheers.
Oh no,
Happy
I didn't.
holidays.
Bye. Love you.